Hello everyone, welcome to this course. In today's lecture, we will begin our journey into Node.js. We will start by answering a fundamental question, what is Node.js? But before we define it outright, we will take a step back to understand the background of JavaScript as a language, how it evolved, and how that led to the creation of Node.js. We will discuss how Node.js came into the existence, what makes it different, and why it became such a powerful tool in modern backend development. And finally, we will look at some practical benefits and also walk through how to install Node.js in your system. So let's get started. Now, when people first hear about Node.js, a few very common questions come up. You may wonder, is Node.js a programming language in itself? Is it a framework like we have Express or say Angular? Or is it just a library that extends JavaScript? Well, these questions are valid and there's often confusion that exists around this because Node.js has a very broad role in full stack development. But before we answer these questions, definitely let's understand the history and limitations of JavaScript that led to the birth of Node.js. Now, we all have worked with JavaScript language and a refresher for the same was also given in one of the previous weeks, I guess week 2 of this course. There we learned that JavaScript is a high-level interpreted programming language. It was originally designed to make web pages more interactive and dynamic for the end users in the browser. But whenever we write any JavaScript code or program, where do we execute it? Or where does that code actually get executed? Well, it executes inside a browser. And now the question is it possible to execute a JavaScript program outside a browser? Well, if I had to answer this question before 2009, my answer would be straight no. Why? Well, the JavaScript language was meant to be executed inside a browser only. But what exists in a browser that it alone can execute JavaScript and nothing else. So every browser has a special program known as JavaScript engine, which is responsible for executing the JavaScript code inside a browser. But you may ask a question here. Where did that special program come from in your browser that you have been using from quite a while? Well, whenever you download or install a browser in your machine, it also downloads a JavaScript engine as well. And that is why a browser is able to run JavaScript code. And that's why it was not possible to execute anywhere outside a browser. Please pay attention, it was not possible. Now, talking about JavaScript engines, so every modern browser like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or anything else, they come with an internal component called the JavaScript engine. Now, this engine is responsible for parsing, interpreting, and executing your JavaScript code. Each browser uses its own implementation of this engine. Chrome uses the V8 engine that is very popular and developed by Google. Firefox has a different engine called SpiderMonkey. Internet Explorer has Chakra, and so on. Many other browsers might be using some other JavaScript engines. Now, these engines are written in low-level languages like C++, and they are optimized for speed and performance. What's important to note here is that without a JavaScript engine, JavaScript has no runtime. It can't execute. So when you install a browser, you are also installing its JavaScript engine. And that's why historically, JavaScript could not be run outside the browser. It simply didn't have an environment or runtime of its own. That brings us to the revolutionary idea that gave us Node.js. So how it came into the existence? In 2009, a software engineer named Ryan Dahal decided to challenge this limitation that you cannot execute JavaScript code outside a browser. So his goal was to allow developers to write server-side code in JavaScript, the same language they were already using in the browser to build interactive frontends. To achieve this, he took Google Chrome's open source V8 JavaScript engine and embedded it into a C++ application. He then added system level APIs around it to interact with the underlying file system, network stack, operating system, etc., etc. And the result was Node.js. a JavaScript runtime that runs outside the browser. In simpler terms, if I have to put it, so I would say Node.js is the container that gives JavaScript a new runtime environment to execute on your operating system, just like Python or other languages like Ruby. This marked a major milestone in the JavaScript ecosystem. For the first time, JavaScript developers could build full stack applications using very single or common language, that is JavaScript itself, from front end to back end and everything. So, what makes Node.js such a game changer? Well, for starters, it allowed JavaScript to be used for backend development. That means you could now write web servers, REST APIs, and even real-time system like chat apps in JavaScript itself. But what is even more interesting and is important is Node.js introduced a non-blocking event-driven architecture, a design well suited for applications that require scalability and performance under high concurrency. More on this we will study in the upcoming lectures. It also gave JavaScript access to the underlying operating system, reading and writing files, listening to ports, making HTTP requests, connecting to databases, and all of this can be done from JavaScript code now. Prior to Node.js, if you wanted to build a full stack app, you would typically use JavaScript in the browser and something like PHP, Java, or languages like Python for the server-side development. But Node.js changed all of that, and it changed that model forever. Now, let's address the question we asked at the beginning. Node.js is not a language. It is not a library or a framework either. Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment. More specifically, it's a runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine that lets you execute JavaScript code outside the browser. If I have to put it short, I would say Node.js brings JavaScript to the server. It comes bundled with its own standard libraries, offering built-in modules like HTTP, FS for file system, OS for OS related activities, path for resolving or joining multiple directory and file paths, and others that allow you to write server-side programs. Now, let's walk through how you can install Node.js on your local machine. And in order to do so, you will have to open a browser window. So let me open a browser window. All right. The first thing you will have to do is you will have to navigate to the Node.js website. So let me navigate to Node.js. And here, you will have to go to the download section. So I will go to the download section on this website. And this is how it all looks. Now, depending upon the operating system you have, you can install Node.js by following the instructions given here on this page. If you are using Ubuntu like me, then you can simply copy paste this code into your terminal, and that's all. Node.js will get installed in your machine. But whereas, let's say if you are using Windows, then in that case, you can directly download this .msi file from here and follow the installation prompt instructions to proceed further. I have already installed Node.js in my system, and after installation, you can verify the installation by issuing a simple command in the terminal. So let's head to the terminal. So here is my terminal, and what you can do here is you can issue the command node-v in the terminal, and it shall give you the exact version of Node.js that is currently installed on your computer system. So if I say node-v, you could see that it says 24.0.2. So that is the exact version that is currently installed in my system of Node.js. Okay. Now, if you want to run JavaScript in your machine without requiring a browser, you know how you can do it. We have already installed Node.js in our system, and we should be able to run JavaScript outside a browser now. Okay. So in order to do that, all you will need to do is to issue another command in the terminal that is going to be node itself. So if I say node here, what does it do is it actually opens up a REPL or an interactive shell, in your terminal itself, maybe you would have seen something similar in case of languages like Python, where issuing a command like Python in the terminal shall open an interactive shell for you where you can execute your Python code line by line. The similar thing can be done here as well in case of Node.js. Right. Now I would try to execute some JavaScript code here. So let's say I will write console.log, say hello world. All right. And if I do so, then you can see I am getting a message hello world here. Along with that, I am also getting this undefined, but let us ignore that thing for now. So console.log, as you all know, is statement is a function call that one can only execute in JavaScript language. And currently, I am not using a browser. I am executing this JavaScript in my terminal, and I'm getting this output. Now, let's verify that if you execute this exact same code in the browser console, will you get the same output? So for that, what will I do is I will copy this statement, and it's time to navigate to one of the browser windows again. So I shall navigate to the browser window. And here, what will I do is I will open the DevTools. So after opening the DevTools, I shall navigate to the console here. And I would write the exact same thing. So I will first have to allow pasting here. And then if I do it here, then you can see I am getting the exact same output that I got in the terminal before. Right? So now you know that you can always execute JavaScript outside a browser by installing a runtime environment of it called Node.js in your machine. The installation for Node.js is quite simple. All you have to do is to navigate to the Node.js official website, explore the download section, and depending upon the operating system you have, you can simply get it installed very quickly in your machine. And once that is done, you should be able to execute JavaScript, without using a browser at all. And thanks for watching.